And today we have a very exciting stream planned for you today. It's a stream that I'm very excited to bring to you guys, and you are not going to want to miss it. So as we do with every stream, we are going to welcome in the chat, and then we are going to get our guests rocking and rolling on in here, and it is going to be a fun stream for sure. And I'm also going to pull up the chat on my phone on the side. Awesome. So welcome in to Sandy, LSU mom, Donna Myers, and the mouse. Tony, welcome in. We have Sandy and Samantha, welcome in. Rob Weisko, welcome in. Rob, hope you're doing well. Davey, and I know we have some more friends joining us here. Disney Up Boiler Up, welcome in. So Julie, welcome in as well. So we have a very exciting stream for you today, and I want to let you know a little bit about our special guest before we bring him on in. Also, there are some links in the description that I want to talk to you about, and I'll be bringing up in a few times throughout the stream as we go on. There are several links for our guest, and his name is Ben, better known as @equityben on Instagram. If you do not know him, I highly encourage you to check out those links in the description box down below. Ben is, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, but he's also currently running for Orlando's Best Actor 2020. There's a link in the description. I know some of our mods will be dropping the link as well. That link actually takes you directly to his name, so you just have to click vote. It does not matter where you live. You can do it from anywhere. There is a PayPal link if you do feel so inclined to send a tip to Ben or to donate to him for coming on today, or just thanking him for what he does on his Instagram and his other platforms. You can send Ben a PayPal. I know he would most likely appreciate that, but of course that is always optional and that's never required or anything like that. And we also have Ben's Instagram and YouTube in the description. Those are completely free. One of the great ways to support him by following him. And we have a great stream planned for tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in our special guest. Everybody, please welcome Ben, better known as Equity Ben.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. Hi. Nick, thank you for having me on. I'm very excited to be here tonight to say hi to your crowd and answer all the questions and tell a few stories that you have planned for us tonight.
Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. So let's just jump in. Without further ado, I want you to tell me how your brand, your Instagram, YouTube, everything that you have to communicate with your followers @equityben, and I'll put it right up here. Tell me how that began. How did you get the idea to start @equityben? And just tell me a little about it for those in our chat who might not know what it is.
I was a New York-based equity actor. I've been an equity actor for almost 20 years. I started working for the Walt Disney Company in 2005. I did a show called The Hoop-de-Doo Review for many years. I moved over to some shows over at Magic Kingdom, and then of course hit it big with a show over at Hollywood Studios. And while I was doing that show, our ushers were getting bullied about revealing my schedule. And wow. I have always been a person to give back no matter where I go. And I think I've made that pretty clear. My compassion is for those who don't have a voice. And that really, to be frank, pissed me off. And so I asked them, how could we alleviate the bullying? And they came up with some sort of way to post my schedule. And I feel like, how can you do that? So I came up with a social media. And since I was union and my name is Ben, I just called myself Equity Ben. And within 1 year, I had 10,000 followers. 2 years, I had 25,000 followers. And now I'm almost at 50,000 followers.
Which is awesome. And I feel like, and you know, there's a reason you had to technically create your page, but with creating your page, I think it's done very well for you. You've gotten to know, I've gotten to know you through your page, and you've gotten to know many great people as well. So I think it also kind of did you some good. So you have @equityben, but also it's not just an Instagram. I know you have a YouTube where you'll post little clips. I know you used to, and I think you still do, some of these videos. I believe you're just on Instagram and YouTube mainly, right?
I suck at all things social media, and I do have to get better because now it is my primary source of income. I really should have struck it hot with TikTok, and I just never did it. I have over 250 million views on TikTok, and I don't own any of those videos. They're all of me, but I just never.
Yeah.
I should have ran with it, and I never did. But in fact, there is a fake equityben on TikTok, and they have 10,000 followers, which blows my mind. There's no videos, there's nothing, just my name.
Wow.
So if you find that person and you can convince them to sell me the TikTok name, I'll buy it.
There you go. Yeah.
My YouTube isn't great, I'll fully admit. For a while, I was just using it to kind of subsidize my Instagram, create more content for my followers. And I just figured out how to kind of post my cooking show on there.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more polished. My cooking show is called Any Schmuck Can Cook. And I do those on Mondays and Thursdays. And I've been able to post it on YouTube. So when people contact and direct message me via Instagram, how can I see this? I can just send them the link because they're only available on my Instagram for 24 hours.
Yeah, and people, and we're going to talk about all your different series on your Instagram and your YouTube, but I know people love your cooking show. So and I'm going to put it back up on the bottom. So you have won Orlando's Best Actor in 2018 and 2019. I know you're currently running for 2020, and there is a link, as I said in the description. I know our wonderful moderators are posting it, and actually the link goes right to your name, but of course you can look at other businesses and candidates as well. So tell me a little bit about what being named Orlando's Best Actor, which is a huge accomplishment. Tell me what that means to you.
Well, first of all, I am not Orlando's Best Actor. I am one of the worst actors in town. The fact of the matter is, the reason the award means so much to me is because my following, my mishpucha, my fan base, my familia, those people, I call it rally the troops, because they all go and nominate and vote, and without them, I am absolutely nothing. Yeah. And I mean that. I firmly believe that. And I think that I have made it clear with personal interactions to all of my fans that without you, I'm nothing. And I think that most of my fan base knows that, legitimately knows that. So I consider it an honor because enough people take the time out of their day and actually go and vote. That's huge to me. So that's what that means to me. I don't know if you know this, but back a few years, 2018, I actually took a huge social media break and wasn't on social media at all.
Gotcha.
And the only reason I joined back up was because I won the award, and I realized it would be unfair to the fans if I didn't have a presence.
Yeah. So you're currently, you're running for 2020. And I know you ran last year. I voted for you. I did not know you in 2018. Of course, I would have voted for you, but I did vote for you last year, and obviously voted for you this year. And there's some really great, there's many businesses and people and professionals on there. So even seeing your name on there, I know there's a lot of other businesses, but even seeing your name on there is amazing. So for those of you in the chat, you can do it from, I believe, Ben, you can do it from anywhere, right? You don't have to be in Orlando.
No, you can be anywhere. And the reason behind that, we are such a tourist-based town. The Weekly wants your truthful, honest opinion, because you're going to come to town and you're going to do things like purchase Jeff's Bagel Run bagels at one of the Disney resorts while you're staying here. You're going to visit Dixie Cream Cafe for breakfast. You're going to do those things. So they want your opinion as well. You don't just have to be a Floridian.
Yeah, so if you feel so inclined, you can go definitely vote for Ben. The link is in the description. I know our wonderful monitors are posting that as well. So you have these different, because obviously I think everybody's social media platforms have changed since COVID struck and we were all in quarantine. So you've been doing these drive-bys where you obviously stay 6 feet away and you get to chat You've been doing these cameos, which I know you've been doing for a long time, and you'll do these virtual events like happy hours. I know you also did a virtual live stream for How You Been and Ben Squared. And you do, I think since March 17th, you've been reading hashtag Bedtime Stories every single night. I don't believe you missed a night, which is amazing. And I know you just did one tonight before the stream. So we're going to talk all about those things here in a minute. But tell me a little bit about why you started your drive-bys and your cameos and your virtual events that you're doing. And just tell me a little bit about those for our friends in the chat who might not know what those are or what those mean to you.
Well, let's be frank. Those were for money. So let's put those to the side for 1 second and talk about our hashtag Bedtime Stories. March 17th hit, right? And I realized very quickly, March 17th was the day after Disney closed. And I spent the day with my daughter, and normally I put her to bed by reading a book. Now we're up to 3 books because she's very selfish. But she deserves it, so we read 3 books. And when I say we, I read 2, and she repeats back a book to me from memory.
Gotcha.
I kept thinking, honestly, I'm not just saying this because you're interviewing me, but I kept thinking about people like you, people who have come to Disney every single day for a little bit of respite, and I wasn't going to be there for them, and how unfair and unfortunate that was. And then I started thinking about all the kids that I see every single day, repeat kids who do not get to experience my show. And some of these kids have special needs. And what is that going to do to them? Some children need a routine. And without that routine, it can really, really throw off their entire day, entire week, entire month. And I have been entertaining at Disney for over 15 years. So the fact of the matter is, I have a relationship with these kids. I have a relationship with these families. So I needed to do something for them. And so I got on my Instagram Live and immediately read Green Eggs and Ham. And it went so outrageously well that I thought, you know what, I'm going to do this every single night. Well, it's been 110 days and we're still not open. So maybe that was a bad decision.
So
Papa needs a nap, but I can't stop because kids need me. So that's where that happened. And then, of course, I had to cancel my stand-up show. I had to cancel Ben Squared, which was my first ever non-equity Ben show that I produced. And I wanted to make sure that the people not only were given a refund if that's what they chose to do with their ticket, but also got to see the show. So I sat down, I cleaned up my show, which was almost impossible. I did that for free. We had Ben Squared for free. And I decided that people need content, and they need, again, they need a respite. They need heart and light, and they need positivity. And so I am using this platform for those things. But Nick, I also need money.
Absolutely.
Because I've got bills and I'm a father. And so that's where I turned to my @equityben drive-by singing telegram, which for just a few dollars, I drive to your house, I sing you a few songs, and I make you laugh. That's about 5-10 minutes. And then I also do, for a little higher price point, 21 and older, I do the @equityben happy hour starring my @equity Bellini. It's a cocktail that my husband designed. It is a coconut rum, delicious pineapple, fantastic, stunning cocktail. I promise anybody would love this cocktail. And I also bring juice boxes for the kids if there are children. And we just sit and chat and laugh for an hour, and sometimes these go 2 hours. And in fact, I was sold out of happy hours for 2 solid months. And I just have a few spots for those happy hours. So if that is something somebody would like, direct message me on Instagram. That's how I set up everything. I'm a one-man band. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. So going back to the bedtime stories really quickly. So, and I think it's amazing. And because when you started them on March 17th, I don't think you were planning to do it every night. You were just going to do, I think it was like a one-time thing, right? Just for that night.
That's correct. And
Okay.
when I received the response and understanding how impactful it was, not just for children, but for families. Let me be frank, there are a lot of people out there dealing with mental health issues, and I can be the respite for them. And if I can do that for one or two people every night, we're at 110 nights. That
Yeah.
adds up quickly. And I'm not out there saving lives. I am not out there protecting citizens. I am just doing what I know best, and I will continue to do that, and I will continue providing that content for free. And I am very thankful that there have been sponsors that have reached out and helped me put food on my family's table that way.
Absolutely. So, question, when the Disney parks open and things are starting to go back to what we see as a new normal, are you still planning on, like, do you ever see a stop in these stories, or are you just like, do you want to just keep doing them for as long as you see yourself doing them?
I think perhaps as an improv actor trained, I think the most exciting thing, we always are ready to fly by the seat of our pants. So who knows what's in store? As of right now, I don't even know what my role will entail if going back. I don't know if I am going back. Who knows what's going to happen?
Exactly.
Maybe I'll be Captain America. I have no idea. I'll go to Universal, and who owns that? Disney owns that now, right?
Oh, Universal. Captain America is owned by Disney. Yeah, because it's Marvel. Disney owns it.
But hold on, it's owned by Disney, but Universal has them.
It's like Spider-Man is technically owned by, I think it's like Simpsons is now owned by Disney, but that's all. There's also a ride there. It's really confusing.
I'm very confused.
The things that Universal has that Disney owns but Disney doesn't have things that Universal owns. It's really weird.
All I have to say is Captain America, Spider-Man, and the Simpsons, they're all wearing their masks.
Yeah, there you go. So we talked about your bedtime stories and your drive-bys, your cameos. I know there's a stand-up show, which is 18 plus, that you've done. And you also created a family-friendly version for it, which you did live, which is How You Been. I know the show means a great deal to you. So can you talk to me a little bit about what How You Been means to you? Because I know it does mean a great deal to you. I know you've done countless shows and all of them have sold out. And I know you had to cancel it in March because of everything, which is, I know you did not want to do it, but obviously you have to. So tell me what How You Been means to you.
How You Been is the story of my life told comedically through a stand-up show. And it is my first ever stand-up show that I have experienced that uses a pianist to underscore the entire show. I sing just a few songs, but I certainly wouldn't call it a cabaret. I talk about the birth of my daughter. I talk about the highlights of my career, and I talk about all the mishigas in between. It is a show that I not only wrote, but I produced. I was behind all of the public relations. I did everything. So I am extremely proud of the show because it's my show. It happens in my town. People have flown in from places like Washington State, Canada. We're talking thousands of miles to see my show. I've sold thousands of dollars worth of tickets. I've sold thousands of tickets. I am uber proud of this show. It is a show I think anyone would love as long as they're 21 and older.
Absolutely. And I know you've obviously, what's it called? You love the show, and I know you've sold out countless days of them, and I know you've done lots of shows in days. So obviously, because there's theaters and theater itself is very different now, do you see yourself still, because I know you, I believe you want to do more of the same show. Do you see yourself still doing the same show, but obviously in a different format as far as the theater goes?
I don't know exactly how we're going to do the show, but I can tell you I've been hired to do the show via Zoom. I've done the show 4 times now via Zoom. I've done the show 3 times in my car. That's been really fun. I drive up to people's homes and just do the show from my car. And it's still, I will be frank, I was very nervous. And I don't get nervous, but pulling up in my hybrid to somebody's front yard, ready to do my stand-up show for 6 people, and who knows if it's going to work, but you know what, Nick? It actually did. I was able to tell my story honestly and truthfully and authentically from my car, and those people had the time of their life, and it gives me purpose again to be able to do my show. Now, I am providing content, and I am providing content for free, but again, it's what I do. So when I do it, it gives me purpose, and it allows me to feel alive and present. And I think that is something extremely important to me.
Absolutely. So we talked about your drive-bys. We talked about how you've been, yourself as best actor, and your stories. You also have another series which a lot of people love, and I know I've seen what you've made on this series, and a lot of it looks delicious, and it's called Any Schmuck Can Cook. And I know you were on LBV TV, Chris and Maria's show, talking with Gusteau about your cooking. Tell me a little bit about your Any Schmuck Can Cook show and why you started it, and just tell us a little bit about it for those in our chat who might not know about Any Schmuck Can Cook.
I am an Orlando actor. So imagine any sort of line of business in any city that's not maybe hugely successful. That's where I am. I have a nanny, I go to work, she takes care of my kid, and all of that goes away, and I'm stuck at home being a stay-at-home dad, and I fell in love with that, but all of a sudden, I have to learn how to freaking cook. So my husband leaves me a recipe, and he says, I need you to cook. There's no time. You got to figure it out. And my immediate thought was, why don't we just go to Chipotle? But my husband, we are on a health kick, and so I thought, why not sit down and try to figure this out?
Yeah.
So of course, because I'm in the business of creating content, I started filming it and realized very quickly that I had a show on my hands.
Absolutely.
And I dealt with over 250 direct messages on my very first episode, and
wow.
Immediately that I had something and I needed to do something with it. And so that's what I did.
Yeah, and you would never really think about it by, having to stay at home and having to cook. You'd have a show on your hands that people would sponsor and people would love to watch, and it's incredible. So I do have a surprise for you.
Yes.
I have someone backstage that wants to talk to you, a very big fan of yours. But so for our chat that has obviously seen our You Know Them, You Love Them show, we do allow our chat to also ask questions for the person I'm interviewing. So think of a question. Don't post it quite yet, because I'll tell you when to post it just so I can better manage them and get them on the screen. If we do not answer your question and it is relatable to what we're talking about, if you will, you can happily message Ben or myself. I'm sure he can answer it better than I could, and we'll happily get to those. But if you keep repeating your question and we don't get to it, it's probably something that we're not going to touch on for this stream. But without further ado, I'm going to bring a guest in who I know is dying to talk to you. So let me change this over. And
Sam! Hi.
So Sam, when I told her that you were going to come on for an interview, she was like, I want to come on, even if it's just for a second. I want to say hi to Ben. And I know she really wanted to come on. And I think Sam, you either had a question or there's something you wanted to say to Ben, right?
I just want to say he's amazing. Best person ever. And I wanted to know, what's your favorite thing to do with Charlotte?
There is a game we play called Favorite Food. And I don't know how it came to be, but one night she was running around the house, and I'm obsessed with hearing her talk. And so I was just asking her all questions about what she liked to eat. And we were running around the house, and I'd say, what's your favorite vegetable? And she'd say broccoli. What's your favorite fruit? She'd say watermelon. What's your favorite ice cream? And she'd say vanilla. And so we play that every night, where she runs around the house and she just giggles, and it's literally just a little circle.
That's awesome.
It's just, I think that's my favorite thing. And now she's remembering. It's crazy because she's 2. She remembers lyrics. So we'll be in the car and a song will come on, and I'll just look back and she's singing all the words. My favorite was, what's the, it's going to come to me. Da, 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 da. I want to move it, move it. I want to move it, move it.
Yeah, I don't really know that, but yeah.
And then she goes, move it. It's from the, not Zootopia. It's from the Universal Madagascar.
Yeah, that's it, Madagascar. So speaking of Charlotte, because I know she's a huge part of your life, before we take some questions for the chat, so I'll tell the chat, get ready to ask a question for Ben. Don't post it quite yet, though, because they're obviously going to go to the top, and I won't be able to get that. But I want to ask you, and because with these interviews, I touch on, a lot of the things I do with the people I interview, I already know about, but I want to let our chat and our viewers know about it. But this is something I personally want to know a little more about, because I know you love your family. I've told you many times you have an amazing and an incredible family. I want you to tell me what family means to you, because I know you have an incredible family and you're all loving of each other. Tell me what family means to you.
I think family is the most important thing out there. And let me first explain that if you do not come from a traditional family and your family is a group of coworkers or a set of friends, that should be just as important to you as my family. Listen, my husband and I 5 years ago would not have been recognized as a legally married couple. My daughter several years ago would not have been recognized as my daughter. So we are a non-traditional family, but I can tell you that we are as traditional as they come.
Absolutely.
We laugh because people automatically assume that on Modern Family we're Mitch and Cam, but oftentimes we're Phil. We're other families. We're the heterosexual families. So family to me is the place where you go where there will never be judgment, there will always be love, and you can find positivity and happiness 24 hours a day.
And that's everything right there. And I've told you many times that you have an incredible family, and I've even said with Charlotte, it shows that you guys have done an incredible job raising her, truly. But I want to ask our chat if they have any questions for Ben, either relating to something we talked about or anything else on the spectrum of our stream, if you will. And as I said earlier, if we don't get to your question, or if it keeps getting repeated and we don't answer it, we'll try to answer those in another fashion. So feel free to ask a question for Ben in the chat. We will try to get to as many of them as possible. And thank you to our friends who are joining. But since there's a slight delay, I did want to tell our chat that there are several ways you can support Ben, some financially, some non-financial. You can go subscribe to him on YouTube and follow him on Instagram at equityben. It's both of them. Those are completely free and 100% appreciated, if that makes sense. You can also vote for him as Orlando's Best Actor 2020. There is a link in the description that goes directly to his name. Just click vote, enter your info, and you're set. I know Ben would definitely appreciate that. Also, you can send a PayPal to Ben. It is completely optional, but it's greatly appreciated if you'd love to send a little donation to Ben. And we have some questions coming in. I know a lot of people have amazing questions for you, and this chat comes up with amazing questions. So let's start. We have a question from Steve, who says, well, it's not a question, no question, but please tell Ben, I don't know how to pronounce that, but
Mensch.
Yeah, there you go, Mensch.
It's Yiddish. It means a good boy.
Okay. Well, then you're good. That's a good thing. R. Walter has a great question. If you were not an actor, what would you be doing or want to do?
It's happened, baby. I'm not an actor right now. I think being a stay-at-home dad is the direction I'm headed. I love being home with Charlotte. I love making sure that the house is clean and that there's dinner on the table when my husband comes home from work. It has been a very rewarding, a very relaxing homecoming for me. I am able to spend time with my family and be present with them. And I think that's the most important thing in my life. And I don't want to see that end. I don't want to be at the end of my life and wish I had spent more time with my daughter. And I don't want to be at the deathbed of my parents and wish that I had spent more time with them. So I have taken this time, looked at right in the eyes and said, how can I fix that? And I'm doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Joey's World says, Ben is such an awesome and nice guy. Would he adopt me? I do Windows, and there's a waiting list for mom and dad at Resort TV 1. Would you adopt somebody that does your Windows, Ben?
How old is Joey?
I think he's just around 50.
Yeah.
50?
Yes.
Yeah.
No offense, sir, but that's a little creepy. I wish you the best, but I will not be adopting a 50-year-old man.
Rob Weiska, welcome, Rob, and he has great questions too. You're the writer, producer, and director. What show would you create at Walt Disney World and at which park or resort?
I have created 3 shows at the Walt Disney World Resort on the writing and performing spectrum. I opened 3 different shows here at Walt Disney World since 2006. I've been at Disney since 2005, but I started creating, maybe it was 2007, I created a show. 2012, I created a show. And 2014, I created a show. So I've done the creating show at Disney, and I love you all, and especially Nick, I respect you, but I'm not giving my free ideas out to the internet right now.
Yeah, there you go. You want to keep those. It's like a magician never shares his secrets, if you will.
You joke, Nick, but watch some of my content that has been created and then look at other performers, and I'm talking big time performers, and notice that people are stealing stuff. So what I'm saying is, you give it for free, someone's going to take it, make money off of it, and I see bupkis.
Let's see. Donna says, question for Ben, what has been his favorite role to play?
I was Edna in Hairspray, and I have to tell you, it was one of my absolute favorite things I have done in my entire life. It was riveting. And I actually talk about 5 minutes about playing Edna in my How You Been stand-up show, and I'm not sure this is going to be the best way to show the audience, but that is me in Hairspray.
I think I can actually, there we go. Yeah, that works. We can see it fine.
I actually won Orlando's Best Actor in a Musical in 2017 for that role.
Gotcha. So you won musical in 17, and then just actor 18, 19, and you're going for 20.
Correct.
Awesome. And Mike, that was basically the same question, but he asked what your most memorable role was to play. Alyssa Neal said, question for Ben, as a performer, how have you felt during our shutdown, and besides been doing, how do you stay on top of your craft?
I actually feel the shutdown has propelled me into new, more creative ways of creating content. The fact of the matter is, I'm my own boss right now. I create my own content. It's all up to me. And I feel like I'm not wearing any underwear. I feel liberated. I feel free. And it has been an amazing 4 months. Absolutely amazing. And I feel guilty because a lot of people are dealing with, death, destruction. heartache. And, you know, life is okay for me, which is why I have constantly been giving back on my page. If life has been going well for me, I have to give back to try to put that out there for others, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Question from Avery: which Disney movie would you like to see come to Broadway and be turned into a musical?
A Disney movie to come to Broadway and turned into a Disney musical. I think Bedknobs and Broomsticks would be a fantastic Broadway.
Yeah.
The rumor was Dumbo. They actually secured the website and a team kind of behind the scenes. There was another rumor for Hercules. They had done Hercules. I think Bedknobs and Broomsticks would be a fantastic musical, and I'd love to be turned into a rabbit in front of 3,000 people on Broadway.
There you go. Donna, who has all the great questions, says, what's his favorite recipe he's made so far on any Schmuck Can Cook?
I used a professional recipe from the magazine Bon Appetit. It was a one-pot chicken and rice, which sounds super easy, but let me tell you, when you don't cook, nothing is easy. Nothing. And you took the chicken and you put it at the bottom of a Dutch oven, and for 10 minutes let it cook, and basically the chicken grease fried the chicken. And then you take the chicken out of the pan, you put in shallots and garlic and ginger, and then you add in rice, and then you put the chicken back in, and then you add in a couple of seasonings, and you make a peanut sauce, and you chop up some cucumbers, and you put a little bit of cilantro. It was fantastic. It was fun, difficult, fantastic. My husband called it a showstopper.
That's awesome. Mickey Travels said, if Ben could be in one Disney live action film, what would it be and who would he play?
I think perhaps, you know, the genie has already been played by Will Smith, so I can't do the genie. I'd love to do is it too cheeky to say I'd love to play the live action Olaf?
You could, I could see you easily doing Olaf.
I'd love a nice warm hug.
Yeah, I could easily see that. Ram says, this is a great question. Does writer Ben ever argue with director Ben?
For my show, specifically How You Been, we are symbiotic. We go hand in hand. There are no arguments. I actually only argue creatively with my husband. And finally, my husband has decided to not offer his input when it comes to that side of the game. You know, my husband ran a movie theater for 20 years, so he runs the front of house at all my stand-up shows, anything business-wise. So when it comes to that, he gets 100% of the say. Everything that goes on in the theater, he handles, and he handles beautifully. Anything on the stage is my forte, and so I handle that all myself. It didn't always used to be that way, but we have figured out quickly that that's what works best for not only my show, but our relationship as well.
And R. Walter said, you should write your own cookbook, giving tips to newer cooks for sure.
No, I'm an awful cook. This is not something that I think people want to read about. I think it's a very funny show because I really am a schmuck in the kitchen, and that is the honest to God truth. Absolutely, absolutely. But the show will continue to air in a comedic fashion. You will not be seeing a cookbook.
Let me see if we have another one. Listen, Neil said, did you know that all of Disney's shows on Broadway will not be coming back? Can't wait to see what new shows are produced. I did not know that. I knew a few of them.
I can't imagine that being true, that all the Disney shows would not be coming back. Lion King is a huge moneymaker for Disney, and I can't imagine that that's true. I know that Frozen is closed. They closed Frozen.
Closed.
But the national tour of Frozen should be happening as of next year. There'll still be a national tour of Frozen. What other Broadway shows are there that are Disney?
There might be Aladdin on Broadway. I don't know though.
Yes, Aladdin's on Broadway. I don't know why they would close that, but
yeah. R. Walter said, Ben, would you make any of your mom's famous / favorite recipes for ASCC?
So she has asked me to make a few recipes. My issue is my mom is an awful cook, and also I refuse to take money from my family. So I'm not. No, my mom's recipes are bad. They're not good. And in fact, she keeps saying, well, why don't you make this recipe? And it's a recipe I've already made. You know, I don't want to be doing the same recipe over and over. I don't know what the fun in that would be.
Gotcha. LBVTV, Chris and Maria, go subscribe to them if you've not already. Said, if you could have any role, movie, musical, theater, anything, what would you pick?
I want to play Max Bialystock in The Producers, the seedy, off-the-wall Broadway producer who schemes $1 million by producing the worst musical ever on Broadway, a musical called Springtime for Hitler that actually breaks records in the box office and sends him to jail. It's a fantastic musical. Also a really, really funny movie.
That's awesome. Donna said, how long did it take Ben to develop How You Ben from the idea to bringing it to the stage? That's a great question.
So this is a question that kind of pisses me off, and let me tell you why. It took me a year, and my husband keeps saying, well, why don't you write another one? Honey, it took me a year.
Yeah.
So obviously now I know how to write a show, and one specifically just for me. So I think I could write another one. And in fact, I have about 10 minutes written of a new show. But, you know, a show is an hour to an hour and a half. My show started as an hour and now is roughly an hour and a half show. So to write an hour and a half show, I think would probably take me another year.
That's awesome. LBVTV says, and Chris wants to know if he could do any Schmuck Can Cook chili cook-off with you, Ben.
That sounds amazing. It would have to be some sort of interesting chili because I'm not a huge fan of basic recipes, which is why I did things like the butternut squash lasagna, the bagel lasagna. You know, we've done the enchilada casserole, things that are a little different, not necessarily the same recipe you would see, which is fun for me because I need to screw up these recipes for a show to be funny.
Yeah.
And I do. I screw them up every single week. But for some reason, everything's tasted good so far.
Fingers crossed. And Donna said again, does Ben prefer improv or scripted roles?
I think I like scripted roles where there is room for improvisation, if that makes any sense. Gotcha. I love to be able to go back and forth with an audience. In, for instance, Hairspray, there's an improvisation section, and most of the Ednas I've ever seen do the show get to improv for, 1 or 2 minutes. Now, when we did Hairspray, they let us improv for almost 10 minutes, and it was fantastic. And actually, that's what the reviewer said that, I'm an actor, so of course I have to talk highly about myself. She said that I was the best part of the show, and that section of the show was her least favorite because it didn't make any sense, which kind of was like, I don't know if you know the show because there's always an improv section, but that's my favorite thing to do, scripted with a little bit of improv. But I am a trained improviser, and I've been a part of a few improv troupes, so I can do both.
And I know, speaking of improv, you did iProv, which Sam and I saw. That was a great show. I know both of us really enjoyed that one. Avery says, and this is the answer to our question, performances are canceled until January 2021, but Lion King and Aladdin are not going anywhere as of now.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I can't imagine that Disney would close those shows, especially Lion King. Lion King is a staple on Broadway.
Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds like there might be an Italian chef and his cohort in the back making spaghetti and meatballs. I don't know what that was, but I'm pretty sure you just got visited by Tony and Luigi. Making a spicy meatball. Hey, Butch, you get it back here. We got a spaghetti and meatball. Lennon and Travis are here. I don't know what that sound was, but that's what it sounded like on my end.
I'm trying to see if we have anything else. So, question from R. Walter again. What was your favorite comedy growing up on TV?
I was obsessed with a few shows. I grew up with Get Smart, Dream of Jeannie, Bewitched. I grew up with Golden Girls. I grew up with Seinfeld. Those were the shows that kind of formed me into who I am today.
Awesome. So we touched on, let me get my things up here. We touched on obviously your things, if you will, you're doing for Instagram and obviously your YouTube. And tell me, if you have an idea of this, if you will, what's next for equityben or Ben or your family? Tell me just what's next. Like if you don't have what's next, tell me what a goal or plan is for you.
I have written a children's book, and the children's book is called At equityben Makes Lemonade. And it is a fantastic children's book that teaches the world that some days are going to suck, and that's okay.
I want to get a copy of that.
I will show you one tiny little sneak peek of the book. And I just pray that it doesn't, leak, but this real quick. Boom, there we go. That's it.
Yeah. You saw nothing. You totally saw nothing. But yeah, so I think you said that you were I think you said on a few Instagram stories that you were planning that, which is awesome. So before we wrap up our interview, because all good things of course have to come to an end, do you one more question actually from LBB TV. They said, who's your favorite Golden Girl?
Bea Arthur. How can you not love Dorothy? Shady Pines, Ma. She'll say things like, play or die. She is, I had tickets to see Bea Arthur on Broadway, and I was in a show, and I went to the director and I said, please, sir, please. It's one night, and he wouldn't let me see the show. So my mother went to the show because we're Jewish and we don't return tickets. We don't waste money. We use the ticket. My mother went and saw the show, and afterwards chased Bea Arthur's limousine down to try to get an autograph. She couldn't get an autograph, so she got it from the piano player. So I have a signed playbill from Bea Arthur's pianist.
It's a memory of like a family event, if you will, if you look at it that way. And R. Walter regarding the book says, I need a copy of that to read to my third graders when it comes out. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'll definitely have to buy a copy of that when it comes out. But Ben, before we unfortunately have to wrap up, because all good things have to come to an end, do you have any last minute questions, comments, concerns? Hopefully no concerns or feedback for our chat, myself, Sam. The stage is yours for however long you would like to talk.
I just hope that everyone out there realizes there will be an end to COVID. I hope that you are being smart when you leave your homes. I hope that you take into consideration the health and well-being of other citizens in your town. I hope that you live a life filled with positivity and compassion. And I hope you realize that even when there is no Disney, I will be here providing content for free every single day, as long as I possibly can, because that is what I was put on earth to do.
That's awesome. And Sam, before we wrap up, do you have anything to say to Ben? Because she was dying to come on here. She said, I'm coming on one way or the other. Do you have anything you'd like to say to Ben or just that he's awesome, or the stage is yours too for a minute?
Well, I just want to say thank you for all the bedtime stories and all the shows and everything.
Yeah,
For you, I will keep going. It's not going to end. I'm not going anywhere. In fact, my favorite part when people message me about no Disney, I tell them constantly, I'm not dead. I'm just not working. There's a difference.
Exactly. And I've told you, I've said, if you're at home or you're working somewhere, I've told you we're always with you wherever you are. But Ben, I want to thank you so much for coming on, and Sam as well. And I'll talk to you backstage after the show ends, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much. Cheers. Much love. Bye, bye, bye.
So everybody, thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you have not already, go check out Ben's Instagram and his YouTube. If you feel so inclined to donate to him via PayPal and tell me you did an awesome job tonight, we would love for you to do that as well. The link is in the description to do that. Also, go vote for him for Orlando Best Actor. You can do that from anywhere. It does not have to be just from Orlando. You could be anywhere if you'd like to do that. And a lot of those are free as well. And also, Sam's here. That was a surprise as well. But thank you so much to everybody who joined in. And we will see you very soon for another live stream. So remember, one little spark of inspiration is at the heart of all creation. And we'll see you very soon. Have a great night, everybody.